Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jack, back again to bring you Mythic Zul, the Reborn. Everything you need to know about healing this boss and getting it down from a healer point of view, alright? Starting it off, you really can have just about everybody stacked up throughout this fight. There isn't really any huge positional requirements that should keep you from staying very spread out or pretty helter-skelter. So for this fight, I ended up running with Divine Star to be able to get a little bit of assistance there. Halo made things a little bit more difficult because of the hard crowd controls that we used on ads. So Divine Star or Purge the Wicked, I think, are going to be the options if you're curious about those. Big things to note on this fight, we ran with 5 healers because this is more or less going to be a blitz fight where you have to be able to pump out as much healing as possible in a very limited window in time before the 6 rogues end up just killing the boss for you, right? You will still have to deal with the Dark Revelations here, and Disc is in a prime position to be able to deal with a lot of these. Make sure you're watching your timer and start ramping up just before the Dark Revelation spawn, because you do have about a 10-second window to be able to get those down. You will still have the minions of Zul, which will start rushing in to be able to drop the fear onto somebody. If you have shamans and druids, make sure that they're keeping an eye out if anybody does get hit by any of the Zul minions, because they are able to dispel the curse. Tremor Totem, for example, can be helpful there. But otherwise, especially if you have priests aplenty, you should have no problem being able to dispel those ads very rapidly before they get back into the group there. What we did in terms of assignments for these was we actually had our Shadow Priest who was able to assist with not only dispelling any of the minions of Zul, but he was also there to assist with the Mythic Mechanic to make sure that the decaying flesh was going onto the Berserker ad every single time. So if you do not, or sorry, the Crusher ad. If you do not actually have a Shadow Priest as a healer priest, you might be in this position if there's, you know, no Shadow Priest or no Shaman to be able to help with the purges, to micromanage where the debuff actually goes to before you kill the Crusher. But from my standpoint, we did have it, so I didn't quite have to worry about that too much. Keep in mind, we always did make sure that we had those assignments as to someone's going out to the left or someone's going out to the right to be able to deal with the Dark Revelations and run them out quickly. And if any of the rogues, for example, would use Cloak of Shadows a little bit more early, we would just ask that they call it out so we could go to that position first, get the dispels out onto the ads, and then be able to move on from there. We did 3 tank this fight, and the Demon Hunter Infa's position was basically rounding up all the Krogs and kiting them just around in circles around the boss so that the rogues could use Tricks of the Trade and continue cleaving off onto it. So anytime that we saw bloodthirsty Krogs moving into the group, I always hit fade if I saw any kind of threat coming towards me. But then I would also really start focusing Infa with healing, and we'd rotate externals onto him as he rounded up all of those ads and then was able to move into position here. Dealing with the Death Wishes at the end of the fight, it is much lighter damage than Dark Revelation, so you can dispel them more rapidly, but you still have to watch out for any of the ads coming out there. So again, we went through another rotation where the first dispel was Sira, the first dispel was always going to be one healer. For us, it was Valdura. You would always dispel the very first target, and then the priests would rotate. First, it would be Sira, and then it would be myself, who would then get the grip, followed up by the delayed dispel, and then that priest would then clear out all of the other minions of Zul there. We saved all of our 3-minute cooldowns, our big 3 minutes, for the very end of the fight, and we used lighter cooldowns like Paladin's Wings, or any kind of 2-minute cooldowns or short cooldowns like Evangelism at the start of the fight, because like I said, this is a very heavy blitz encounter, and once you transition the boss, it's just going to be about spamming as hard as you possibly can to be able to keep everybody alive, pop those Death Wishes early if you possibly can, and get everybody topped off whenever possible here. So really strong focus is going to be put onto your healers for healing up any of the soaks from the pools of blood, and making sure that any time the Dark Revelations are going out, you know the position where the minions of Zul are coming from, and when the damage is going to be going out to be able to most easily deal with all of these. Positioning is going to be extremely important, and keeping everybody in a stacked pile is going to make things so much easier to be able to deal with on this fight. And overall, it's going to be pretty straightforward from a healer perspective, ramping up in a huge amount of healing as you go deeper into the fight, and getting it down rapidly before the tanks go down in that second phase, or before any of the blood piles start filling up the room or ads start overwhelming you. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you want to check out the live stream, the link is going to be in the description below. Until then, have a good one, guys, and I'll catch you all next time.